morning. It's me again. Today, I am so excited to be talking to my girl crush, Casey of Elegant Adventure Photo. She is a brand photographer out in Colorado, and she just joined. Dun, 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 waiting for technology. She's here. Hi,
Hi.
fabulous. Oh my gosh.
Oh, thanks. I have to
Every
get fancy for my girl crush.
Yeah, I was just telling everybody that I had a girl crush on you, and one day we are going to meet and hug for an inappropriately long amount of time. So just a
I'm very
forewarning.
excited about that.
Well, I'm so excited to talk to you because one, I think you're fantastic, and two, like, I want to know all your secrets, basically.
I don't want to know them all, but
Well, some of them, let's say, for women person, but I want to know the secret.
yes.
To always having this glow, because I know that this comes from within, a lot of inner work as far and nutrition, but I want to know your secrets.
Well,
So
I love it. Well, thank you so much for having me on your live. I'm super excited to talk about this. But, it's been interesting so I've been a licensed esthetician for, like 12 years now, and added on the nutrition certification in 2017 because I found that I was talking to a lot of my skincare clients more so about the internal component versus just what we could put on their skin topically to help with like fine lines and wrinkles and especially acne at the time. And so throughout this whole process, I realized I'm like, okay, so we have the internal application, external, but then also like the mind component as well too. So when I approach, like my photo shoots as well as my own personal, I guess, kind of outlooks and mantras and everything, it's definitely, like, as cliche as it sounds, the mind, body, soul approach. So looking at it, not only what we are putting into our bodies from a stance of food and drink, but also what are we putting into our minds and what kind of mind work are we doing as well when we're, going through all of these things and like planning photo shoots and all that kind of stuff.
because we're always looking at everybody's photos, and there are some photos where you look at this person and you're like, I can feel her energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this, and because it's not just a photograph, but it's just a picture, and like, so how one picture of a person looks so much different from a different picture from a person, and I think a lot of that is that inner energy that's coming this this human, through, like you said, the food and the drink that we put in our body, but also like that inner work that we're doing, what we're I'm a big energy person, that sometimes you can just see the person's energy come out, and there are, you think you've mastered it, how to get that inner glow to come out, because we have that all inside of us, but know how to get it out.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, I feel like the biggest compliment that we can get as photographers is for somebody to say, oh my gosh, you really saw me in these photos. Or if they get a compliment and somebody said, like, holy crap, that photographer like captured you and saw your energy and just like really saw you and captured you. I don't know what other words to use besides those, but yeah, that's always just I don't know, to me, like the biggest compliment. And I do have some kind of like tangible tips that we can talk about in terms of what to eat and what not to eat, and like what to drink and what not to drink. So these are just like some of my, I guess, easiest or like most straightforward tips. So when we're thinking about foods that we want to avoid for probably, I'm going to say 2 weeks before the photo shoot. So you did the sugar detox, it takes a little while for that magic to catch in. It's usually like around day 10 when you look in the mirror and you're like, damn, go girl, like you look good, so I always like to say it's about 14 days or 2 weeks before the photo shoot. And think of GPS. So gluten, processed foods, and sugar. These are the things that we're going to just take a break from for 2 weeks. We're going to cut out gluten just because the way that it's processed and everything here in the States, it can have a lot of toxins, and it's just kind of in general irritating, even if you don't have a gluten, like defined gluten sensitivity, it's still just kind of irritating to our intestines. Yeah. And then processed foods, I mean, you know, shop the exterior of the grocery store. That way you are buying foods that are in the refrigerated section and don't have a bunch of preservatives in there. And then also sugar. I know everybody's going to hate me with that one, but sugar it's incredibly inflammatory, but then also what it does to our skin. So think of our skin like a piece of bread. So big, like juicy, big, like Texas toast kind of bread. And so we want it to be squishy, and, you know, like when you push down on it, it bounces back. But when we are consuming too much sugar, what happens is all of those, think of it as like burnt toast. And so like all of those proteins are coming together and they're just kind of stuck. And that's when you're really going to see the fine lines and wrinkles. And I'm sure you noticed during the sugar detox that, you know, your skin just had a nice glow to it. Like you wake up and you haven't put anything on your face and you're just like, wow, I am glowing right now. And it's just amazing when we cut out just those three. I mean, there's many more foods included in those, but cut out those three things, what it does for our skin and our bodies just by reducing the, like cutting out those inflammatory foods and letting our body really function like it likes to.
And let's be honest, I mean, we don't really need sugar in our diet. No. Especially that refined sugar. You know, a Butterfinger is great, but I think we all know deep down it's not good for us.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes you may think, oh, I don't eat sweets, or I'm not grabbing a chocolate bar or doing, you know, like whatever. But when you actually look at the ingredients and you look at your ketchup, and high fructose corn syrup is the second ingredient, and it has like, you know, 15 grams of added sugar.
Right.
Like, oh, crap. Okay. That's where that's coming from. Oops.
Yeah, and that's another thing I think that I've learned through all of these different detoxes and education things that I do, especially through yours, is learning about the food that we're putting in and actually stopping and looking at a label before I put it in the cart. Maybe it doesn't stop me from putting it in my cart, but now I understand the food better.
Yep, exactly. Totally. Okay, so then something, you know, we do want to add to our diets, and I always challenge my clients, instead of just thinking of it like, oh, I can't have all of these things, you go into it with the mindset of, okay, these are the foods that I am going to nourish my body with. Like, these are my beauty allies. Like, they are going to make me just look, you know, super fly on my photo shoot day. And so again, these are going to be all the foods on the perimeter of the store. And, you know, you can play fun games where you say, okay, this week I'm going to try 20 different vegetables, or in this month, I'm going to try this many different vegetables, and just experiment. And you might see things where you're like, I don't know what the hell that is, like a daikon radish. You're like, this thing
I do.
It's super weird, but you know, you eat it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is actually really good. And just getting those different nutrients into your body and those different, you know, like bacteria and all of that kind of thing is going to be great for your gut health. And it's really going to help you bring out that inner beauty. Something else that we're going to add to our diets is water. Make sure you're hydrated. Yeah. And I know this one it's super hard to do, but what you want to aim for is half of your body weight in ounces of water per day. So if you weigh 140 pounds, you are going to drink 70 ounces of water. And what I like to say too is I love my coffee and I drink quite a bit of it. So for every cup of coffee I have, so let's say it's 8 ounces of coffee, I try to drink 12 ounces of water to kind of like make up for it since it is a diuretic.
Hey, there's
And
coffee.
I
Just,
know exactly, right? There's water and wine too, so we're fine.
hey, I love it.
But speaking of wine and alcohol in general, the night before the photo shoot, especially, and if you can take off some additional days from, having your nightcap or a glass of wine before you go to bed, it's really going to pay dividends on that photo shoot day. And this goes for the photographer as well. So, what happens when we have alcohol, it can initially make you drowsy. However, it's going to decrease the quality of our sleep because it prohibits our body from going into REM sleep. And so when we don't get enough REM sleep, that's when we're going to feel way less rested. We could have potentially be a little bit more anxious, which there's already quite a bit of anxiety, I would say, both on the photographer and the client side, the morning of or the day of the photo shoot, just like, oh crap, don't forget your camera or your batteries. Or, like if you're the client, you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with my face? I'm so nervous in front of camera. And so the alcohol can exacerbate some of those. And then also, you're just kind of freaking grouchy sometimes when you wake up after not getting enough sleep, or if you happen to have too much alcohol and you're feeling a little hungover. So think about, instead of, oh, I can't have this glass of wine to go to bed because Casey's a jerk and told me not to, think of it as, I'm creating a new relaxing routine as I go into the night. So, have a cup of warm tea or journal, read your favorite book, just do something that really feels like self-care and indulgent, and you're going to wake up feeling so much more refreshed and just ready to like crush it.
I love one thing that you always do in the morning is the lemon and salt water.
Yes, yes.
I want to, and you just post in your stories like, oh, I started my day, but I want why, like why that?
Yeah, so the warm lemon, and so it's like warm lemon water, and it doesn't have to be, like hot or anything like that, but just so it's not super cold. You like it to be warm because it's actually easier for our digestive system to handle it when it's warm. And so what the lemon is going to do is it helps to flush out toxins, and it gives our digestive system, especially our liver, some love. And so our livers, I feel like our liver, I'm going to go on record as saying this, is our most underrated organ. That little bad boy performs, I think it's like 500 to 600 different functions, and we ask so much of it. And it's kind of like the unsung hero. There's no shirts with livers on them or anything like that, but especially when we do live in a toxic world with the foods we consume, things we drink, the air, I mean, just kind of everything. And so our livers are doing a lot of detox. And so I just kind of see it as, you're giving your little liver a hug in the morning when you start it with that. And also the lemon is going to provide some vitamin C, and this is going to help promote collagen production. And collagen is our friend, especially as we get to, it's like 30 years old, somewhere around there, we start producing less collagen. And so what collagen does is think of it as it just kind of like plumps up our skin cells. And so it helps to hide those fine lines and wrinkles. So plumping in a good way. But yeah, when we can put the collagen in or consume it internally, that is like the preferred method. Another thing that I like to do is I have the Vital Proteins. This is a collagen powder. And so this one is actually a coffee creamer. And so you can just put it right in your coffee. They also make some, it's marine collagen, which does not taste like fish at all. I was super worried about it, but it just does not. And it doesn't smell like fish either. And so that one is great for people who are doing some gut repair because it's easier to digest. But yeah, you can just put it in your coffee, smoothie, I mean, kind of wherever you want to put it. And it doesn't really have, or does not have, flavor at all. Oh, and then the reason why we put a little bit of salt in the warm lemon water is it has electrolytes in it. And so you want a sea salt or like a pink Himalayan salt. And what that is going to do is, I like to think of it as it allows your cells to hold on to the water better. And that way you're not just going to spend the whole day in the bathroom after drinking all this water and coffee and lemon water and everything else.
That I did not know. Now, what do you have, like a recipe? Like, could I make a glass of water before I go to bed with how much salt do I need to put? Do you have like a recipe?
I usually do. So in, this guy here, this is 24 ounces of water. I would do maybe half a lemon and just squeeze that juice in there. And then, I don't know, maybe like a pinch or an eighth of a teaspoon of
Okay.
sea salt. It's really not a whole lot. Like, it does have just a hint of a salt flavor to it, but it's not, you don't put enough in there where you're like, oh dang, I am, straight up drinking out of the ocean.
So it's not salty water, it's salted water.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, just a little dab.
Now, do you have a good resource for people to go to who are prepping? They've got a photo shoot in 2 to 4 weeks. What's a good resource for everybody to go to?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can go to my website, Elegant Adventure Photo, and on there I need to push the like actual, yes, this is live button, but I do have a download on there with a checklist, and then for, just a couple of easy things that you can do leading up to your photo shoot. And also there's some affirmations on there as well to help you just, get your head right before your photo shoot.
I love it. So everybody go to Casey's bio after this, click on the link and grab that freebie. Give her 5 minutes.
Yes, please give me 5 minutes. I curled my hair instead of doing that. I was like, I want to look pretty versus.
I love it. Well, now I have,
I love those colors on you, by the way. Those are like really good colors for you.
Thank you. I'm really into fall.
Yeah, I dig it.
Weather. Although you've gotten some snow out in Colorado, didn't you?
I'm so excited. I love the snow, but.
And what I love too is that your lifestyle is so in line with your business mantra as well, the elegant adventure. And I love how much you nourish your soul through, your lifestyle with the rock climbing. And what was this 50 miles something that you did?
Oh, it was a 55K. I can't give myself for a 50 miler. So it was between like 34 and 35 miles.
Oh, well, then that's what you talk about.
I mean, 15 more miles is quite a bit, that's like another third of a race. Half, I don't know, I can't do math, whatever. It's a lot of miles extra. But it was it was so much fun. And I was on a podcast earlier this week kind of talking about mindset going into some of these longer endurance events. And it's just so funny how when okay, I'm going to be running for 55 kilometers, you just like, you're kind of in that mindset after, 13 miles, you're like, oh, I still feel great, versus when you're doing a half marathon at mile 12, you're like, oh my gosh, my legs are going to fall off and die. And so it was just a really fun day of kind of being in a, just let's go with the flow, let's just kind of, chill out and, I don't know, be in the moment. And it just made the race so much more enjoyable. We didn't wear watches or keep track of anything. When we happened upon an aid station, we're like, oh, sweet, we're at like 26 miles now. Like, hot damn, this is exciting.
Yeah, you weren't watching the clock. When is this going to be over?
Exactly. Yeah. It was just, okay, let's embrace it. Let's be here. Let's be in the moment. And I feel like that, because I used to not be like that at all. I used to be a really highly competitive triathlete and would always be looking at my watch and ended every race just kind of pissed off. And so now, it's just been so awesome having that mindset shift. And I feel like this is so important in business and just kind of everything of, okay, we're here in this moment, and how we react to these things being thrown at us is way more important than versus like what's actually happening in the moment.
I love that. I love that. And I think that too, like that you could take that mindset into your photo shoot, because like you said earlier, it can be a very stressful, anxiety, creating, event for someone. You have to be in front of a camera for like 3 hours, and,
Right.
a lot of, expectations that you have on yourself, and how you want your photos to be. Like, there's just a lot of stuff crashing down. Go into that mindset that you take into that, 50K of where, like, okay, this is going to be fun. I'm not going to worry about, or what mile I'm on, or what time it is, or what outfit I'm wearing. We're just going to, enjoy it and say, hey, I worked really hard to get here.
Yeah. And, it's like, it is a lot of work going into a photo shoot. By the time you pick out all your outfits, get your hair and makeup done, all of the planning on, like both our end and our clients' end. And, like, we should freaking enjoy the day. Like, it shouldn't be one of those anxiety provoking where you're just like, oh, I'm like dreading this.
Or
And, I feel like,
yeah.
yeah, like I feel like I did a bad job of prepping my clients if they feel anxious on the day of their photo shoot, or if they're dreading it at all. I definitely feel like I failed them.
Yes.
In that point.
Be not excited to see us.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want you to be excited to see my girl Zelda. That's my camera's name. So.
Oh, yes. I follow her adventures a lot. And Lars, Zelda and Lars.
Yes, Lars the van.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me today, Casey.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me.
And everyone, go to Casey's bio in 5 minutes.
Yes.
And that freebie that she's got with that checklist, especially if you've got a photo shoot coming up, or any kind of special event, maybe it's your wedding day or a birthday, that you've got going on, and it's just kind of healthy practices all along. And maybe you can't give up sugar forever, but we can give it up every once in a while.
Exactly. Yes.
From the terribleness that tastes so good.
Yes, right.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye.